Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. It's transfer deadline day. How are you feeling? I mean, look, first of all, it's a safe and well for everybody. How are you feeling? Yesterday was just, I don't even know how to describe the word, horrific, I suppose. Again, obviously, without, I don't want to put disclaimers on every show forever, but this is a football show. We're talking about football news, but we're fully aware and sensitive to the facts of the serious nature of what happened yesterday and victims of these types of assaults. So I just want to make that very clear at the start, because I don't want to feel insensitive. I know some people didn't like the conversation we had on the show last night about replacing Greenwood, but look, we were coming from a football angle. There was enough videos yesterday where we put out about the serious nature. I'm not saying we're moving on, but we're a football channel and we're here to talk about football. And I think it was a very logical conversation to have about replacing a player that doesn't look like they're going to be playing for us for a while. But some people aren't ready for that, in which case I do apologise. But transfer deadline day is here. What is the situation with Manchester United and late deals? There are some updates to bring you this morning. Remember, we're going to be live from midday on this channel. Transfer deadline day live. The link's probably live already. You can certainly go onto the chat there straight after this. We're going to be live all the way through till 11 o'clock tonight. We'll be talking all transfers, but it is a big day for Manchester United. Of course, on a serious note, we know Mason Greenwood's in custody. He can't be in custody for ages without a decision, so that might come in today. But in relation to football, there are going to be deals happening today. Newcastle are doing ridiculous things. Villa are looking to get things done. Spurs as well. Will Arsenal enter the race? How does that impact on us for top four? So we'll have everything covered for you from midday. If you want to drop in and out, or you want to be with us all day, we've got everybody on. I'm going to be on a lot as well, so looking forward to transfer deadline day. And you know what? Slow Sports News. I'm going to wear a yellow tie or a pink tie. And we'll start off with why pink, because Phil Jones looked like he was going to Bordeaux. Now he's not going to Bordeaux, but it could get resurrected again. I don't know why he was thinking about going to Bordeaux before. I'm wondering if he thought it was Bristol. Bordeaux? France? I'm not going there. It never seemed logical to me that Phil Jones would go to the French league anyway. Some would say he struggles playing football, let alone speaking French. I mean, maybe he's very good at French. I don't know, but I always thought it was a bit of an odd deal, and the fact that it fell through last night didn't massively surprise me. But apparently that one could get resurrected. I'll be very surprised. I don't think Phil Jones is going to go anyway, is he? Really, to be honest with you. In relation to late deals, I just want to say, obviously, we've got Jesse Lingard and we've got Kamara on the thumbnail. I would say, in relation to Manchester United, we are not going to sign anybody. And I feel very disappointed by that. On Jesse Lingard, David Ornstein said this morning that there will be a conversation between Rangnick and Lingard this morning as Lingard tries to force that move through. And I think United should let it happen. United have got enough to deal with and enough question marks around them over the last few weeks without keeping a player that doesn't want to be here. We've got enough issues in that dressing room and maybe some really big issues to deal with in the future. We don't need to keep a player who doesn't want to be here. It goes against what Rangnick said. It's the reason we let Martial go. Lingard doesn't want to be here. He's going to be gone in the summer for nothing. Get him out of the club and let him go. And with best wishes. That needs to happen today. United need to find the time for that to happen today, because that needs to happen. On relation to incomings, I've got to say I'm very disappointed. And logically for me, I remember saying this from mid-December, I expect us to 3 or 4 to go out, 2, 3 or 4 to go out, 1 to come in. That was what I thought was logical. You then got a lot of people saying, look, Rangnick wants a midfielder. So it seemed like, even up until Friday, I thought this is logical. As we are here on the transfer deadline day, I see absolutely no chance. I mean, King talks about Dembele. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I think that Kamara could well go today, but it won't be to Manchester United. So whether Kamara ever ends up at Manchester United, I don't think Kamara is a player that really, in the summer, we will lock in on. I think we're going to do what we always do at Manchester United and try and just do this marquee signing that makes everything better. And one act doesn't normally change things. And you can see the Declan Rice deal. And look, Declan Rice, I'm telling you now, I hate to say this, but I would avoid United. I really would. If you want to look after your career, I would not go anywhere near this club at the moment. We are absolutely... I saw people yesterday saying they're falling out of love with supporting Manchester United and they're tired of it. And whilst I don't agree with that, the whole point of being a supporter is that you stick by your club in the hard times. And I'm not going anywhere, and I'm sure most of you aren't going anywhere. But the club do make it very hard at the moment to love. And when I say the club, the badge is the Busby Babes, it's Sir Alex, that's what the badge is. The club is owned by the Glazers. You know, you can love Manchester United and not love the way it's being run. And at the moment, they make it very, very difficult. The arrogance that runs through that football club, the lack of communication, they're just arrogant and badly run. And it runs all the way through the football club. And I'm not very happy about the football club at the moment. And I'm sure many of you aren't happy either. And in relation to the transfers, look, people say, well, now's not the time to talk about transfers. Look, were you involved in what's happened yesterday? Because I certainly wasn't. Like, we're a football club. And in 3-4 weeks' time, when this is being dealt with, one way or the other, we'll still be a football club, but the transfer window will be closed. Like, yes, what happened yesterday is enormous, and the club are absolutely shitting themselves. That's why we're not doing any business today. United are absolutely all hands on deck in relation to what happened yesterday, and quite rightly so. Any other club would be. But the transfer window's been open for 4 weeks before that broke. And there's no way United knew that was going to happen yesterday, because if they did, they're in big trouble. So they've had 4 weeks to do something. They've had 4 weeks of Ralph Rangnick saying he wants a holding midfielder. And basically United have stood steadfast saying, no, we're not going to give you, who's doing a very good job in very difficult circumstances, we're not going to make your job any easier because we're going to wait till the summer. And yet you've got Spurs doing business, Aston Villa doing business, Newcastle doing business. Tell me what's different to what Newcastle are doing to what we should do. Newcastle could stay up with the squad that they've got. It's very tight down the bottom. But their owners who want to be successful are like, we're not going to deal with could stay up. We're going to stay up. We're not going to just get 1 or 2 in. We're going to get 6, 7, 8 in. And we're going to make sure we stay up. And next season we'll be stronger, and we'll start the season and we'll buy again in the summer, and we'll make sure we get as close to top 4 as we can. And then the season after, we want to win the league. That's what a football club is doing. They're not waiting around. They're not taking any risks. Let's be controllers of our own destiny. What are United doing? Well, we might not get top 4. Well, let's just wait till the summer and see what happens. This lazy, arrogance, money motivated approach that infects the whole football club. They've been told by the manager to get a midfielder, and they basically decided not to do it. It's not acceptable. Do you think Man United's stance on Haaland will change after the Greenwood situation, says Shady? Well, I don't necessarily think Haaland's the right choice either, mate. You know, it's a bit like Declan Rice. I like Declan Rice and I like Erling Haaland, but what we're going to do is just chuck 200 million at Erling Haaland to try and solve a problem that we might create again. And what I mean is create again a problem that Mino Raiola is going to do what he's done with Paul Pogba, just constantly be talking about him leaving. So United need a total reset, an absolute reset, and it needs to start from the top of the football club. You know, Glazers hanging out to dry again to see what the players are like. Rangnick depends on no transfers. Glazers out, says Matt. If I were Rangnick, I'd run a mile at the end of the season. If they won't back him now, they won't listen to him if he moves further up the board. It's inept, says Lloyd James. And if we don't get top 4, it won't just be Ronnie that goes. Like you could imagine, Champions League, Varane in Europa. We need to get someone, says Daniel Kirk. Look, I hope to be very wrong, and we'll see how it goes and runs through the day on the transfer deadline day show. But I've got to say, I absolutely do not think Manchester United are going to do any business now. And that's the first time I've said that, because obviously it's the I've always felt that logically we would do something, but we don't. I just don't think we've got time. I just don't think we have got the time to do it, and I don't think we will do it. I think that Mason Greenwood's in custody. This is a huge news story, and Manchester United don't necessarily deal with anything well when there's numerous things to deal with. So it'll be all hands on the pump. The interesting thing to me would be if this thing hadn't happened with Greenwood. I still don't think we were going to do anything, because I think we've left it to. I think we would have heard something by now. So I think the only things we're going to see happen today in relation to late deals is hopefully Jesse Lingard is allowed to go, and maybe Dean Henderson goes as well. But they would both be to Newcastle, and they are both dependent on whether Newcastle are still focused on doing that, because Newcastle seem to be doing a hell of a lot of things. They're after some striker now. They want, I think, Diop from West Ham. They're after Targay on loan from Newcastle. Have Newcastle got the time to go back to Man United and say, can we get Jesse Lingard? I think it's worthwhile Newcastle doing that. I think he's absolutely perfect for what Newcastle want, but we'll have to wait and see. Bright Pink Mark, Bissouma has now emerged. We ain't doing a deal for Bissouma, Apollo. Look, I would warn you, I was right about Donny to Everton. Donny van der Beek is currently having his medical at Everton, so that will be announced officially anytime in the next few hours, probably when we're on air for the transfer deadline day show, to be fair. So Donny van de Beek will go to Everton, of course, and I did sort of mention that on a few shows, didn't I? I was talking about Palace, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if an Everton came in because he doesn't need to move house. I've got no information on this, but if Bissouma's moving, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Villa. And if Kamara goes, I wouldn't be surprised if Kamara ends up going to somebody else or agreeing a deal with Bayern Munich or something like that. I just think United have done sod all in relation to a midfielder this January transfer window. I think United are lazy, stupid and ignorant, and I think they're probably thinking, let's not do anything, clever. Let's just spend £90 million on Declan Rice. And that's probably the only plan they've got. Let's just go all in for Declan Rice, like we did for Harry Maguire. When everyone else pulled out of the Harry Maguire deal, like Pep at 60 million, United were like, yeah, we're all in. When no one else was interested in Sancho, we stayed interested and paid 75 million. Nobody else was interested in Sancho and we paid 75 million. I like Sancho, by the way. I'm just saying, United, no one else was in for Wan-Bissaka and we paid 50 million. Like, why do we pay such high fees for players no one else wants to go for? It's ridiculous, and we just keep doing it. And then, what pisses me off the most is that we'll never know now, but I think Zakaria would have been good. And it's like Perisic a few years ago. Everyone was like, I don't want Perisic. And I was like, I really think Perisic will be brilliant for United because he loves putting crosses into the box. He's a very unselfish winger. We never got to find out. And I thought Mourinho was right about Perisic. And I do think Rangnick's right about Zakaria. I think he would have been a good signing for us that we'll never know now. Because even if he does well at Juventus, it's the Italian league, you never know. But for €5 million to not do that deal, it just pisses me right off because we're probably going, no, we're not doing that. We want Declan, for 10 times, not even 10 times, 20 times the value. It's just, the club just pissed me off. They really pissed me off. They're so arrogant and pig-headed and not open to change. It's all DNA, United DNA, the United way. That's worked out really well, hasn't it? That's going great. That's going absolutely great. You keep going down that route because look at what it's doing. I think we discussed this before, but Rangnick's interim status is the real blocker when it comes to getting a midfielder, says Ami, which is absolutely appalling, by the way. Absolutely appalling that you can bring a manager in as an interim, as a cost-saving exercise. If you compare what Spurs have done, they brought in Conte around the same time we brought Rangnick in, right? Conte's a permanent manager, and he says, I need players in January. Before he even signs the contract. I'll sign the contract, but you got to get me some players in January. And they've done it. They might not be the players he wants, but he's got players in. United go for an interim where they can basically say, yeah, you're not having any players in January. I heard somebody say it today, I think they're absolutely right. This season's a write-off. It's a write-off. United have written the season off, which is exactly what business people do. When they see an asset and they're not getting everything they want for it, they write it off for the season. And that's exactly what United have done. They've written off this season. And how as fans, just dwell on this for a minute. How as fans do we keep putting up with this? We're run by bank managers. They've written the season off. There's no ambition. This season's a write-off. It's basically, if you can get top four with what you've got, fantastic. If it's Europa League, it's another restart. We'll just get a new manager in. They've written the season off in January. There's no ambition. Look at what Newcastle and Villa are doing. Even Spurs are doing. Even Liverpool are doing. Liverpool don't need Diaz now. That's a signing for next year. But they're doing it now. United have been ridiculed, embarrassed and bantered by their own stupidity of the January transfer window is really difficult to do something in. And yet there are at least 6 Premier League clubs that have shown that actually in the January transfer window you can do some really good business. Future planning business. Alvarez to Man City, that's a future planning signing. Diaz to Liverpool, yes, he's ready straight away, but that's a future planning signing. Villa, players now to improve as part of their future. Newcastle, loads of signings to make sure that their future is in the Premier League. United, write the season off. Get an interim and write the season off. Get by with what you've got. Absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling how this football club is being allowed to run. The best football club in the world, the best fans in the world, having to sit here in January and just go, all right, what do you want me to watch these games then? There's no ambition. They're just writing the season off. Bloody idiots. Fed up of them. The lot of them. Absolutely had enough of it. It's just so frustrating. It's really frustrating because there's no excuse. There was no excuse on January the 1st, and there's no excuse now. Oh, we don't know who the manager's going to be in the summer. You've just appointed an interim who's going to be bloody making the decision on who the manager's going to be, you prats. I mean, that's the biggest load of nonsense in the world. We're fighting for 4th place. Can't wait till the summer. That, by definition, that's writing the season off. If you don't want to buy anybody now because a manager in the summer you might not want them, you're writing the season off. What football club is run like this? A football club, actually, just call a spade here, right? Don't listen to these journalists who are in the pocket of the football club, and we all know who they are. I never hear them talk about anything tactical. They never talk about anything tactical. They're just, you know who they are. They're just voices for the club. I've never heard them come out with anything tactical about the way we play, ever. It's just the same old stuff all the time. And, they can't be trusted because the club can't be trusted. If you are saying the January transfer window is a challenge, and if you are saying that you can't buy anybody till the summer because of a new manager, that is a load of nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. Because if I am in charge of the football club now and I know I'm getting a different manager in the summer, does that prevent me from buying a midfielder now? No, it doesn't. Because in football, you can't live 5 months in the future. You can't live 5 weeks in the future. A manager who looks very comfortable now can have a bad month and be sacked. So you can't sit there in January when you haven't even established top 4 and go, yeah, we're not going to buy a midfielder that we need now because the manager in the summer might not want them. I mean, can you even get your head on how stupid that theory is? The manager in the summer has got next season to deal with. Right here, right now, we're halfway through this season where we could get top 4, where we could do well in the Champions League and the FA Cup. And we're going, yeah, we're not going to buy a midfielder to help our team out now because the manager in the summer might not want them. Who gives a shit? We're here, we live right here now, and this is why United keep failing, because they're so bank manager orientated. They're thinking about markets and fluctuations and dividends in the future. The reality is, the reason they're not buying a midfielder now is because they can keep that money in their pocket for another 6 months and earn a bit more interest. That's basically what it's all about. You could have got a midfielder for €5 million. He instantly, well played by Juventus, by the way, because one thing people aren't mentioning is they've got Zakaria for €5 million. He's already worth 30. Like today, he's worth 30 million because he's on, as soon as he signs that contract, he's on a 4-year deal and he's worth 30 million euros. So, from a business point of view, that Juventus have played a blinder there. But from United, they don't want to spend we don't want to spend the €5 million. It's always about money. It's not about the new manager. It's not about challenging January. It's about money, and it's always about money. We don't want to spend money now. Find a way that we can't spend money. Oh, leak that to the journalists we've got. Yeah, load of bollocks. Absolute load of bollocks. Look at what Newcastle are doing. Look at what Aston Villa are doing. Look at what Spurs are trying to do. Look at what Man City have done. Look at what Liverpool have done. Football clubs plan for the future today, not tomorrow. United are planning for the future in 6 months' time. Snooze, you lose in football. If we're in the Europa League or we have a bad end to the season, it's not on Ranić, it's on the board. But we know the last 16 years are on the board. The last 10 years are on the board. No title race in 10 years is on the board, and yet they're still sat there making decisions. And we're still sat here moaning because no one's got a bloody clue how to get them out, and they're just comfortable. Why have we got board members who are bloody ex-bankers who help the owners buy the club? It's just a joke, and we keep having the same conversations all the time. Morning, Mark. We need to start protesting again. We need these greedy owners out of our club, says Mikael Roach. Bissouma, says George. Not going to happen. Prince Larry, welcome to the Members Club. Look, I'd love a late deal incoming to happen for Manchester United, but I don't see it's going to happen. And I think that, look, we're going to be live at midday for the transfer deadline show, and it's not just going to be about United, of course. We're going to be talking about other stuff. And already, I've done a video on That's Football. It's going to be a very hectic last transfer deadline day. We've seen Eriksen go to Brentford. There's talk of Carrasco going to Spurs. There's talk of Morata going to Liverpool. There's talk of Bissouma leaving Brighton today, but that's sort of not that credible at the moment. If a substantial offer arrives, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Villa. I wouldn't be surprised if Kamara goes somewhere because Marseille desperately need the money. Can United do it? Look, the transfer, until the transfer window is shut, anything can happen. But right here, right now, I don't think United are going to do anything. And people keep going on about Ousmane Dembele. Can I just say, if you want Ousmane Dembele, well done. I don't want him anywhere near this club. I don't know anything about his character, his background, how he behaves or anything like that. Do United? I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that as a footballer, he's always injured. And we don't need another player like that. You know, Cavani has been a decent signing, but he's injured a lot. Phil Jones, whatever you think about him, he's injured a lot. We need to plan for the future, not short. Ousmane Dembele is just short-termism, and United are lost in this short-termism. You know, these short-term signings to make everybody happy. Look at what's happened in the last 24 hours. If that's not a wake-up call to Manchester United, that this social media fucking clips of goals and this, that and the other, and building these people up into massive role models, it can blow up in your face big time if you become a social media football club. You know, I've never liked the whole, you know, winning team shit that we get after training, because basically what the club are doing is they're turning these players into idols, right? They're trying to, you know, because they want the social media interaction. It's, oh, I play for Man United, I play for Man United. The best way to grow a football club is to be successful on the football pitch. Football players are not necessarily idols. They're football players. Get them on the pitch playing well. That's what Manchester United's motto needs to be. Not forget about how someone celebrates a goal or what they've done in training. Forget about that bullshit, because it'll bite you in the arse. It will. Get good on the pitch. That's what United should do. I've never understood with the Glazers why they don't obsess about being successful on the pitch, because you will make more money. Man City are starting to make serious money now without the money being pumped in, because they're successful. United make money these days because they've got the biggest fan base and because they do viral things with Ronaldo and, you know, Pepsi and all this, and Adidas. If we were good on the football pitch, our fan base would be a lot bigger and we'd make a lot more money and we'd be far more marketable. Get focused on getting good on the pitch. United have spent too much time in recent years focusing on off-the-field footballing activities, on making footballers into these like pop stars. But the problem is, if you don't know what these footballers' intentions are or what they're doing in their private lives or where they want to go and play in the next couple of years, you get the issues that we've had at this football club. Dressing room unrest. You know, look at, you know, certain players wanting out of the football club because we're not successful on the pitch. Get successful on the pitch. That's all a football club should be focused on. And United have wandered into different alleyways and it keeps biting them on the arse. Get successful on the pitch. Stop obsessing about a marquee signing in the summer. You know, you should have gone for Zakaria. You should have gone for Kamara. You should be looking at, you know, Ruben Neves or someone like that in January. But now we'll spend another 90 million on a British talent. And, you know, is that the right thing to be thinking about doing? And, you know, I don't want to be stereotypical here, but I've always said it, and it is stereotypical. When you look at, it's always been the case, I've heard managers say it as well, when you compare the English footballer mentality to the foreign football mentality, you don't get many foreign players who are out partying, drinking, messing about. They're very professional. And it's very stereotypical what I'm saying, but we need that at Manchester United. We need that professionalism back. And the club need to be very much focusing on that. Stop focusing on bloody social media clicks and who's popular with what brands, and focus on building a bloody football club. It's what Sir Alex Ferguson did for years. It's why Sir Alex Ferguson kept having issues with Beckham. He loved Beckham. He didn't like Beckham's lifestyle. And Beckham had every right to go and have the lifestyle he did, but Sir Alex Ferguson didn't like it because he wanted a football team. And Beckham really was focused on his football, but he also had that lifestyle that Sir Alex didn't like. And Sir Alex never liked that. And we need to get back to that. It's crazy, actually. That's something I've never really heard spoken about. Sir Alex Ferguson loved David Beckham, and David Beckham loved Sir Alex Ferguson, and they still do love each other. But there was definitely a few years towards the end where it was they were at odds, because Sir Alex Ferguson didn't believe in a footballer being a model and a fashion icon, and David Beckham believed he could be a footballer and a fashion icon, which he proved. So, they were both right in a way. But look at United 20, 30 years later. Our owners and our CEOs and our marketing and everybody, they want 11 David Beckhams. Whereas Sir Alex Ferguson decided he didn't want Beckham in the team anymore. He wanted footballers. So, you know, and the reason I say that is that this club is obsessed with DNA and United Way. But they're not really. It's fake. It's fake DNA. Because they talk about DNA because it plays on your heartstrings. But we're not that United. We're not United. Like, the people that they had from the Sir Alex Ferguson era aren't even the right people if they wanted to go down that route. But United's DNA now is actually making money. That's what it is. But they play on your heartstrings by pretending they're trying to be what we were 20 years ago. But Sir Alex Ferguson would never put up with this. He wouldn't have Paul Pogba. He wouldn't have Jadon Sancho. He wouldn't have Luke Shaw and players like that. He just wouldn't have them because, you know, and I'm just trying to think of players that are, you know, in with big brands like Pepsi and things like that. He wouldn't want that in the position that the club's in now. He'd want, Sir Alex Ferguson would say, I don't want to hear about any brands. I don't want to hear about any marketing trips. I don't want to hear about deals with Adidas. We are nowhere near where we need to be. Get to where we need to be and we'll talk about that sort of stuff. But United, who go on about DNA and all this bollocks, we want 11 David Beckhams. We want all the marketing. We want all that. We want all the extracurricular stuff because it's good for the brand. And this is where it's gone. This is where it's gone wrong because they're manipulating you, and they probably believe it themselves. But I've always said this as well. Richard Arnold, Ed Woodward, Murta, the Glazers. How can they try and run a club in the DNA of United under Sir Alex when they probably weren't even watching United then, and they certainly weren't deep diving then? Like, if you want to run the club in the same way that it was under Sir Alex Ferguson, then maybe get people who lived and breathed and knew what that was all about, because we'd look very different if we went with that DNA. There'd be half this squad would be gone straight away. United have made it very, very clear over the last 10 years that they are interested in brand and awareness and interaction. That was not something that Sir Alex Ferguson was ever really interested in. Can't believe Spurs signed Ben Takura and UA immediately replaced him with Zakaria and we do nothing. We could easily afford either of them. Yeah, look, Viraj is right. We could have brought a midfielder in very easy in the January transfer window and we've chosen not to. And it's always the same, isn't it? It's always the same. But look, Manchester United have got a lot more serious issues to focus on over the next few hours, and we will see what happens with that. There's all sorts of stuff saying that, about, what United need to do and should have been doing over the last sort of few years, and we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? But I don't see it changing. We've got a new CEO who starts work tomorrow. It's Ed Woodward's last day today. I don't see this changing. I really don't. I think things could get a lot worse. I think the only thing we're hoping for this season now is that the players that we've got, are galvanised and come together and work hard and grind out the results we need to get top four. But whether we'll ever get somebody in with the authority and freedom to really change things, I don't know. I really don't. We will have to wait and see. But look, it's going to be a very busy January end of transfer deadline day. Of course it is. So we will see what we have got going on very, very soon. So we will be live at midday for transfer deadline day, covering all transfers, not just Manchester United, obviously with a very strong Manchester United conversation going through it all, but we'll be seeing what Spurs and other clubs are doing. We'll be seeing what happens with Bissouma and Kamara, Jesse Lingard and all of that. So make sure you join us. I've already opened up that chat, so if you want to get in the chat before midday, we'll be live at midday. Slow Sports News. I'm going to be wearing a tie and a suit, so you'll be seeing me in that. We've got guests coming on as well, so if you want to dip in and out throughout the day, if you want to stay with us all the way through till the transfer deadline day closes at 11, we'll be live from midday all the way through till 11 o'clock. Looking forward to the chat. There'll be lots of conversations we can get into, get involved in it the normal way. I'll speak to you then. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Let's wait and see what happens. But for me, Lingard's got to be allowed to go, and look, if a miracle was going to happen, we'd get a midfielder in. But I don't think the Glazers deal in miracles, do they? They deal in dividends. Speak to you all in a bit.